We just got hit with 120 mile an hour category 3 hurricane winds. This building is hit hard, punched out a couple windows. So when you look at that, there's $168,000 to replace windows. But you know that sometime during your hold, you're going to have to replace those. I've ran 99.9% occupancy for 16 years straight. Even on flips, my leases end 2 days before the end of the month. We get in there, get it cleaned up, and somebody's moving in on the first. There's not even those delays. I really enjoy the asset management side of it, looking at a property and seeing what we can do. What I didn't like ever was the underwriting side of things.
Don't buy properties 100% remote if you don't have at least somebody that you know that you can trust to go there and see the property. I think that's super important.
Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you guys know, these are the episodes where we deep dive into our guest deals and really give you some practical and actionable items for getting started and doing your first deal, especially if you're brand new to multifamily. Now I've got my co-host Mark Nagy with me here as usual.
Hey Rod, good to be back. It's been a while since I think you've been doing them all in your home studio there lately.
Yeah, I've had warriors come here, so that's been kind of fun. But yeah, so we've got Mike Strodman on today, and Mike's the founder and president of Blue Skies Equity. He's a warrior. We'll talk about that. But welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rod and Mark.
Of course.
Great to be here.
Okay. Well, why don't you, give us, your background, where you came from, why real estate, give us, and then kind of bring us current.
Yeah, so I've been buying properties for 16 years. I think I'm starting into my 17th year now. And, like a lot of people, start off with the small onesies and twosies and work your way up. Again, it was 2009. So the timing is right. Bought everything at a great discount. The only thing I didn't have at that time was more money to buy more of them, as you're picking them up for 60 cents on the dollar. But before all that, I really was interested. I had family that have been in the real estate game. I went to college and got my master's degree for urban and regional studies. So I was a city planner because I loved real estate. And then you're sitting there working on that side of the table going, I love real estate, but I'm on the wrong side of the table. I need to be the one bringing the building plans and not asking for them to be approved so I could build something. So as I was going through that, I was kind of learning more about real estate. And then we started buying in 2009, buy your first single family. And it didn't take long. It was a while there for a stretch there. We were closing, it averaged for a little bit, one every 3 weeks. But again, you try to save up and get into another one. So throughout those years, just like I said, continued to buy real estate and then brought me to your program to become part of the Warrior Group.
Why did you, with all that experience, what prompted you to look into our program, just since you mentioned it?
It's just kind of the scalability. Doing one at a time, two at a time, maybe buy a fourplex, whatever it was. And then just going, like a lot of people do. How can I get more roofs or more units under one roof? So we're only paying one tax bill, one insurance bill, and doing all that. So that was kind of what really triggered me to do that. It took me 7 years to actually call and do it because, like squirrel, also you get a call from a broker and you take off and you're doing the next project. Oh, then it was a building project I want to do. So I went and did some building, and then it keeps on coming back. It's like, oh, I need to.
Did you come to my Denver event? Were you living up there in Springs?
No, we've bought property in Colorado Springs, but I live in Minnesota.
Okay. Oh, you live in Minnesota. Okay. I don't know why I thought you lived in the Colorado Springs, because I knew you had done a deal there. Well, let's talk about a deal. You've got a deal right now that's under contract. You're doing it as a joint venture. Tell us about the deal.
Yeah, so a lot of it's just relationship driven. As you spend a lot of time in the community, you get to know a lot of the owners, a lot of the brokers, and through that, I got to know one of the owners, and they actually had started listening. They own a real estate company too. Reached out to them. We got to talking about it. And like you said, it is 36 units. I think it's 22, 24 garages, something like that. And yeah, it's not one of those real value adds where you go in and you do a ton to it, able to really bring the rents up. A lot of it's just an operational play. The sellers are looking at exiting the property to do more development in Fargo, where they've got properties now. So it's more of an exit play for them, and they know us as
This
buyers.
is in your backyard, right? This is in your backyard, isn't it, Minnesota?
Yeah, this property is only 15 minutes from me.
Okay. Okay. So 36 units, 22 garages, and you found it just by building relationships.
Yeah, it's been
Well,
huge.
that's one thing I want to talk about, the operational thing, because that's kind of unique. We don't talk about that often, but for the listeners thinking about finding deals, give us kind of a little bit more detail on that. How did you meet the owners? How did you go about starting this conversation? What was kind of the step by step of how you did that to, finally pulling the trigger on this deal direct to the owner?
So we have a landlord association in town, and I suppose I've been a part of it for a good 10 years, probably 12, maybe more than that. Maybe it's been 13 years or so. And through that, just getting to know a lot of owners and operators in the community. And then through that, like I said, just meeting with brokers, meeting with bankers, and just those relationships, and just continually, meeting people. And after time, it's amazing how many people end up in your phone that that they know. And again, when something comes up, they'll call, or I'll call them, and through that, you just get a phone call. Hey, you still looking at buying? I am. And go from there.
So bring us into why this was a good deal, because we have so many deals that are very regular, we'll call them, where what I mean by that is people will buy a deal, fix up the units, increase rents. That's very normal. But you're telling us this was a great deal because you're actually able to cut expenses and become better operators. So what are some of those things? How are you going about doing that? And why are you able to do that, but the current owner maybe can't?
Yeah, it's neat because the existing owner even said it to me on the phone. I've met with him on site. And he just said, I live too far away. His property, he owns his own management company, and she's about 2 hours away also. And he just said, this property needs more of a boots on the ground, more hand holding. And he says, I just got so many properties scattered out, so far. I just don't have enough time to focus on this. So one of the main ones there is annually the garbage bill continually going up, and they were paying. I don't remember the number right off the top of my head, but they were paying like $900 a month for garbage. And just through some contacts and knowing that they've allowed this company just to continue to put more fees on them annually, I'm able to cut that to $425 a month. Just one line item right there.
Yeah, it's called vendor creep. Whenever you got vendors, it just seems like that amount creeps up every year, and that's why you got to put this stuff out for bid. Love it. Okay.
So there's a number of little things like that. Even in regards to looking at the maintenance staff, there too. I've got a number of units here already, so I have a maintenance man that's able to be there. Have more eyes on the property right off the start, which would be huge.
Yeah, love it. Now this was also a tax credit situation. You speak to that for a minute.
Yeah, so when this property was built, they used the tax credit, and that's in place for 30 years, and that expired on January 1st of this year. So the tenants there's still a 3-year window where we have to do a little bit of reporting back to the state on the tenants that are there. Although all the units that come up and come available now, we do not need to follow that on those 17 units anymore. As they naturally vacate, we can bring in tenants that don't have to qualify, I guess is the easy way to put it. And we feel that's one of the biggest value adds there too.
And you can charge more money.
Yeah.
And you can charge more money, right?
Yep. We'll be able to work on the rents even a little bit more. And not need to do all that additional reporting. There will be for 3 years on the 17 units until they naturally vacate. But that is a neat way to, we're kind of can reposition that property in that regards.
A couple of things I wanted to mention. One real quick tip. You mentioned the owner being out of state. For people looking to find deals, that is such a good tip there, is when you're marketing, you can look at if the owner's information, where they live or their LLC is in a different state than where that property is, and you can focus a little bit more on that marketing. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention is that you said, you have these relationships. Talk a little bit about the management. Do you guys have a third-party management? Are you operating in-house? Do you have employees? How do you have that experience, and what are you doing for the management to kind of get those advantages?
Yeah, so for the last 16 years, I've own and manage my own properties. I've got a bookkeeper. She is an assistant. I've got a handyman. And so I've got a lot of those pieces in play. I'm actually going to build that out farther now. You know, with this being an LLC or a joint venture, I'm going to build out a management company and manage that property through my own management company. And then I'll be able to take the units I have along with those and just more economies of scale and build that out
Yeah,
further.
when you're an owner in an asset, you can actually start your own management company and manage that. To manage other people's properties, you've got to have a real estate license, a broker's license, as I'm sure you know, but it certainly
Correct.
you can manage your own stuff. Yeah. I mean, I've had a management company for decades, and I was managing other people's stuff. It's a thankless business. Nobody calls you when they're happy. Only owners don't call you when you're happy, and the tenants don't call you when they're happy. So, you know, one of the things we like to ask people that are making things happen like yourself, what's a hot topic that's being discussed a lot in our space that maybe you can elaborate on a little bit?
Yeah, I can. This one will come very close to home is insurance. When we bought that
Insurance, yeah.
property in Colorado, I mean, our insurance out there is atrocious. We're paying
Really?
$44,000 for 39 units. You know, what is it, $1,100 a year or
Whoa.
whatever. And these are one bedroom. I mean, they're small. The insurance quote that we have on this property is very reasonable. I think it's $16,000. But how will that change? We just got hit with 120 mile an hour, what do they call it, a Category 3 hurricane winds a week and a half ago. This building is hit hard. Ends of the building, sidings tore off, punched out a couple windows. The roof is tore up. So yeah, there's a lot of damage, and I've got 10 other properties in town that have been hit pretty hard too. So, you know, we always talking to the insurance agent, you know, they say, so no, all we need to do is we need a couple good years without a lot of claims. Well, you know, and I had that conversation with her, you know, a month ago, and then here we are again. So I think insurance, you know, it is tough. It's going to be tough.
Oh yeah. I mean,
kind of a
you
wild
should be
card.
in Florida. You should be in Florida here. Good God. Yeah. And Texas, candidly. Lots of storms in Texas. I didn't realize you'd have them up there that far. But wow, 120 mile an hour winds is a big deal.
The thing about it, it's not normal for us up here, you know, say every 10, 15 years, not a storm of that magnitude, but it's becoming more frequent and it's pushing farther north. So yeah, I think that's something that'll last. You know, in interest rates, you know, there too. You know, there's a lot of, it's causing a lot of issues for individuals that bought in the last few years. Now it's just kind of trying to buy stuff where the interest rates work today. So
I know Trump's trying to get Powell out. Let's hope he's successful. God, what the political component to that BS is mind numbing. But yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I get it.
are you seeing that, you know, change your real estate strategy? You know, do you want to continue to stay in your backyard? Are you going to look in other markets to maybe that has lower insurance? What's your strategy, you know, moving forward to kind of navigate those things that you just mentioned?
Yeah, you know, I hadn't looked a lot when it comes to multifamily in my backyard, just due to the fact that we're in a smaller market. We don't have a lot that comes up a lot. So this is a really neat, unique opportunity that I really wasn't expecting, which is great. But no, we do continue to focus in other markets too.
So bring us back then, because I know Rod didn't even mention that now, you know, you've been working with us 2.5 years, 700 units as a GP and LP. I know Rod forgot to even mention that's what you've done so far, which is fantastic. What are you, maybe tell us about your first deal and then what you've done after that. What did you typically bring to the table that new listeners could think about what they can do to get into your first deal and then deals after that, whether it was boots on the ground or finding the deal or whatever? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, so for me, if you, I really enjoy the asset management side of it, looking at a property and seeing what we can do, how we can reposition it, what needs to be done throughout the due diligence. I've done a lot of construction stuff, remodels and that. So, you know, having a good estimate of what that's going to cost and what the property is going to need going in. What I didn't like ever was the underwriting side of things. So what was great about being a part of the Warrior Group is coming in and meeting individuals that do enjoy underwriting, and being able to do the high level underwriting. And if it seems to make sense, give them a shout and pass it off to them, and for them to do the deep dive underwriting on it, because that's been huge. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. And there's others that absolutely love it. So that's been a huge win for me in joining the Warrior Group, is meeting those individuals.
I'll tell you, you know, and this business is a team sport. And when you play to your strengths, which is asset management, you allow other people, and you hire a line or partner for your weaknesses, like underwriting. Same with me. I can read a spreadsheet, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You know, and that's the advantage of the Warrior program. So listen, if you're considering possibly getting some guidance, so, you know, you can experience the life you're wanting this year rather than later, or maybe you thought you could be more effective with buying these properties and the underwriting, whatever piece you know you're missing, text CRUSH to 72345 to see if the Warrior program, you know, might be able to help you overcome that challenge so that you can accomplish what you want now rather than later with lifetime cash flow. So again, text CRUSH to 72345. So let me ask another question here. You alluded to in the notes that you sent us something that happened with your due diligence. Can you elaborate on that? Because that's very interesting, and what you plan to do there.
Yeah. So as we, you know, the underwriting makes sense, moving forward with an LOI, and then you go on site and do the due diligence. One thing that was really neat is they gave me access to, you know, being a small network, their handyman's information. So I contacted the handyman and I asked him, you know, what we're looking at buying this property. When I come in, I want to just take care of all those little items that you keep on getting calls for that need to be repaired, that just don't. And you're there fixing them all the time. I said, we just want to kind of come in, get that cleaned up, and hit the ground running. And so he gave me a nice list. So I got to first use that list and keep that in my back pocket. I did all the proper due diligence. You know, we hired a structural engineer. We had the HVAC that has been doing all the work there the whole time, come and inspect the building. They already knew that one of the water heaters was out. There's two large water heaters on the property. One was already not working. So I knew that. The handyman had already told me that too. The outside, the common area HVAC and AC unit was out. Another big ticket item, the one of the boilers, they're having issues with one of the boilers for winter heat. So I was able to take all that and kind of make those notes and make sure I had those individuals on site. And they went through, inspected it, went through it all. I asked them to price out what it would cost. And we're working with the sellers to get a concession on that. And the way it looks right now, and then the windows, we never knew about going in, but the windows on that property are shot, and it's going to need new windows. So when you look at that, right there's $168,000 to replace windows. So
wow.
We know
expensive.
that exactly. And so, you know, we know that going in. And so you either plan it on your CapEx, but you know that sometime during your hold, you're going to have to replace those. So we're working with them right now. And it looks like we should be getting a 50% commission on those costs. That'll come back to us at closing. So again, when we buy it and operate it, we can make those changes right off the bat. When we're paying the heat, you know, on the boiler system, those windows are important. Right now,
you better believe it.
They're, you know, the seals are broke, and we see a lot of 20 below weather. So, that'll right.
Why
there,
the hell would anybody live in that kind of an environment? Hello, right? I'm sitting here in my shorts and my flip-flops. It's 90 degrees outside and 20 below. Good God.
I know. We say the same thing. Matter of fact, it was for the 4th of July here. It was 90 degrees and about 85% humidity. And I was thinking, though, you guys would probably think this is cool. And we were just dying in heat. So it's a different world. But when you're paying the heat bill, you better make sure those windows are good. So it's been great. They've been good to work with. And we think that'll really help us at closing. To get those items done, because it's just stuff that I like to get done up front. I you know, just get it taken care of, be done with it, and then you can operate the property like it needs to be, you know, for us for the next 10 years for sure. And hopefully we'll hold it forever.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned asset management, one of the things that you do, right? You're not so interested in underwriting. So what are some of the things that you're doing on a, let's say, weekly basis to where people could take it and maybe start doing it themselves? Because maybe you're not like talking to brokers, underwriting deals, whatever. Are you networking with people and saying, hey, I'm good at asset management, let's work together? Like what are these actual action items that maybe you can get to give to some people that are getting started and haven't done any deals yet that you do?
Yeah. So for asset management, I mean, keeping your eye on occupancy is huge. I mean, being able to keep that occupancy high, me being able to self-manage on my own. I've ran 99.9% occupancy for 16 years straight. I even on flips, my lease is in 2 days before the end of the month. We get in there, get it cleaned up, and somebody's moving in on the first. So there's not even those delays. But you're right. Even being able to, throughout the Warrior Group, is being able to share what individuals are good at, and just through that communication and talking to them about things to look at. Like you said, what are your expenses on a monthly basis? Where are they going? Why are they going that way? Where's your occupancy at? If you are having an occupancy issue, why? Why aren't we getting leads? Why aren't we getting tours? Just trying to dissect as to what those issues can be. So that.
Well, what about in terms of finding deals? How are you getting onto these teams and working with other people to get involved in 700 units at this point? What are you doing there?
Yeah, raising capital is huge. Being the ability
Okay.
to raise capital right now is huge for everyone. And that's another thing that I bring to the table there mainly. Asset management. A lot of times somebody in that GP team is able to cover that. A lot of it can be that raising capital though, and that's a great way to get in on a GP team.
Now I'm curious.
A lot of Warriors. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same thing. A lot of Warriors do that, but a lot of them have fear at the beginning and didn't even think of that. Was that the same case for you in terms of you didn't think necessarily you'd be capital raising, or and maybe an opportunity popped up, or did you think, hey, I might be good at raising capital? Like walk us maybe into like your first deal or how that happened.
Yeah. So for years, kind of buying them on my own. People asking me what I do, how I can be involved, and I've just said, I didn't need any help. I was doing smaller deals. I was bringing all the capital on my own. And then you start thinking about bigger deals, and then going back to those individuals and letting them know that now I'm doing bigger deals and I will be raising capital. And so educating them along the way as to what I'm doing, how it all works, and how they can be involved in investing in deals.
Okay. No, that's good. That's how you do it. You build those relationships and share what you're doing or what you're involved in. And as in the Warrior program, you align with a team that's done it, and then you can use their experience and their background to give yourself instant credibility. You use the we word. We own 500 units, even though you're just joining this team. It's one of the benefits of getting around people that are doing it. A lot of people mentally struggle with deals that aren't in their backyard. And I know this latest deal was in your backyard, but I know you've also bought deals in Colorado Springs and elsewhere. How did you overcome that? Because I know, like me, I like to control things. I bought a lot of properties in Denver, which is right down the road from the Springs, and the thought of buying in another state was really a problem for me. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Rod, because I still haven't overcome it. It's that control side of it. You know what I mean? You cannot drive there. You cannot. I can't get. It doesn't take long for us to fly over there, but on a daily basis. So it's tricky because you're relying on a property management company, and you're wondering why. We go back to occupancy. Why are we at 94%? Why aren't we at 98? So having those questions and not being able to see, touch, or feel as to what that issue is, and then wondering if the maintenance is being done. Get a video, send us a video so we can kind of see what's going on there. That stuff can be tricky, and it's just becoming more reliant and understanding and believing in those individuals to do that. And you're right, it does take a lot to get over. I can't say that I'm totally over it yet, but I do feel I'm getting better on that on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up because all of my deals are like that, all remotely, but I do have another warrior that lives nearby that can visit very often. Are all of your deals that are remote like that, where you have warriors that can go there, or are you guys fully remote to where someone has to travel to actually get there and you're very reliant on that manager?
Yeah. So for me, I was not going to get into any deal that I did not have someone that was boots on the ground. And it worked out really well. It's another warrior that lives in South Denver, has a property management company. We utilize their management company. They are the boots on the ground. And that's why I'm the lead for asset management on that deal. But that was nice. And that was something that I needed to help me get over that fear of nobody being around there, nobody being able to see what's going on at the property. So that has really helped. And that is one of my main criteria if I'm going to join a different group, that somebody's close by that is able to be there within an hour's notice.
Well, I was hoping you were going to answer that way, right? Because that's the right way you should do it. And you tell me if I'm wrong. If I had to guess, this property that you just bought in Minnesota, do you know the owner that lived out of state? Did they have anybody that was boots on the ground, or were they just 100% reliant on property managers that were there? Because that's a perfect example of mismanaging it and not having somebody there.
Yeah, no, the owners in North Dakota, and their property manager, the main gal that does that, she is about 2 hours away, and came once a month or so. So yeah, that's how that stuff can slip through the cracks and get worse in a hurry.
That's great advice there. Great golden nugget, right? Don't buy properties 100% remote if you don't have at least somebody that that you can trust to go there and see the property. I think that's super important.
Absolutely.
Are you okay with listeners reaching out to you? And if so, where and how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I can be reached via email. Otherwise, you can just go to blueskiesequity.com and shoot me a message through there. We send
What's your email?
Mike at blueskiesequity.com. Perfect.
Well, listen, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on the show, brother. You've added a lot of value, and I know you're just going to keep kicking ass. So appreciate you coming on, bud.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Talk to you soon, buddy. Try to stay warm. Yeah. Good God.
We will.
All right. See you later. Take care. Bye now.